Good morning, friends, wherever you are, and welcome to today's Cichlids and Coffee live stream. I hope wherever you are, you're having a great cup of coffee. I sure am. All right. I think I've got everything set up here correctly, hopefully. If I can get an AV check from somebody out there, let me have an idea how we're doing on AV. How's the audio and the visual? How does it sound? How does it look? Let me know. Who do we have in the house here? Like Michael Shelton is here. And thank you for that. Thank you for that, Michael. He was a pretty hardy guy, and I will be getting more into that in a second. Good morning to you, Cat Sailor. And yes, good morning to the wonderful moderators, my wonderful moderators who help keep the live stream family friendly and PC. All right, Angelo, Cat Sailor, you guys are having a conversation, it looks like. Who else is in the house? Adam Frankel. Hello, Adam. Good morning to you, my friend. And Lotanero is in the house. Hello, Lotanero. William Dreyer, good morning to you, sir. Medcove74, good afternoon. You must be in a different time zone. Andy in the house. Good news, the snow has all gone away. We have back to more of an average temperature here in Nashville, so it's a lot easier to keep the room comfortable. I am putting weather stripping on the doors, on the door of the fish room that goes to the outside, and I am getting prices on generators after that last freeze, so I am taking some proactive steps. Hey, Paul McCartney in the house. And Crow's Aquatics is here along with Les, Aussie the Oscar. Mr. Poobay 1000? Hey to you, Mr. Poobay 1000. Sailing Aquatics, one of my wonderful moderators, is here. Jeremy Moore, Atkins Nature Aquariums, good morning to you. Bill D. in the house, along with Jeremy Moore and Jordan Randall. AV is good. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for all of you on the AV. Hooved Aquatics 5x5. Thank you so much for that. And excellent. Okay. Jordan Randall in the house. So I have a Family Fish Link. Did we decide if Family Fish Link is the Fam Fish Link? Did we decide that was a bot or an actual person? Fam Link. Comment something so that we know that you're not a bot. And if you're a bot, we'll go ahead and take you off of moderator status. So, as we go into the world of AI, things are going to get real interesting. I am very, very sure. Trucking Fish Lover. Is that what that Trucking Fish Lover? Okay, I get it. All right. Hello to you. And it's okay that you're a little late. Billy215 Aquatics. Good to see you here, and I am glad things are sounding okay. The mic sounds a little different. I don't know. Might be the positioning of it. I am exploring with other microphone options, just so you know. I am getting some new Levelure mics for when I walk around, and a shotgun mic, which makes it a lot easier when you're filming tanks, just have the mic pointed at you. And so I am working on some different ways of providing better sound for you. I suspect they were on my list, so I suspect I am getting one of them probably tomorrow at dinner. I just turned yesterday. I just turned 69 years old. Doesn't that sounds ancient to me? It's doesn't even sound real as it comes out of my mouth that I'm almost 70. But yep, turned 69 yesterday, and on my list were a few different kinds of microphones, a 2-person leveler so I can do interviews with people much more easily instead of having to move the mic back and forth, and also a shotgun mic that can be mounted either on the camera or adapted onto a cell phone. So hopefully some of those will, some of my family will have come through. So I'm very easy to shop for. It's either fish or video stuff. That's usually what I want. Or in the summer, it's bike stuff. So very, 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 very easy. So M&C, Ben needs a mini split. Yeah, that's on the short list of options, along with a. But the biggest concern is power outages, where you have no heating in very cold temperatures. So that was the biggest concern the last couple of weeks. So power backup is the first thing I'm exploring, and then separate heating cooling for the garage is also another thing that is on the long list of things to look at. All right, so I have a couple things for you, as you might have guessed from looking at the thumbnail. I have lost I lost a friend this last week, and he was probably one of the most robust and one of the longer lasting bettas. I just haven't had very long term. It's not like these fish behind me; they'll go for years. Bettas have just not been very long term for me. I don't know why. Maybe where I buy them from. I don't know. I really don't know why. But this one was pretty hardy for a long time. Had been acting a little odd, hanging out in the back of the aquarium, where normally he would be in the front interacting with me and in his betta log. But he was in the back for a couple days, and then I found him back there, belly up. So that has, like, normally I would have just gone right back out and picked up another betta, but I've got a different idea, and I want to share them with you. And I'm going to play a little video of the fish room, and we can talk about it as I go through the video, and look at the different options. But before I do that, let's just do a few little shout outs here. First of all, a big shout out to let's do a quick shout out to Patreons, all of my Patreon members. Big shout out to you, and those of you who support the channel on a monthly basis. Information about the Patreon program is below the video. It starts for as little as $3 a month. Thank you very much to my Patreon members. You rock, my friends. And also a big shout out to Cunningham Cichlids, Cunningham Tropicals. My goodness, I keep calling them Cunningham Cichlids. Cunningham Tropicals. A big shout out to Cunningham for being a sponsor of the channel. And he has provided you with a very nice discount of ben.o.15 for 15 off on fish, and ben.o.10 for 10% off on dry goods, including his own house brand of food that he has mixed up himself. Thank you, everybody, for those birthday wishes that are coming through. I appreciate that very much. For those of you who would like to support the channel, don't forget you can super chat, but also if you use Amazon if you use my Amazon link to get to Amazon, anything you buy on Amazon will give a credit to the channel. So all you do is use that link to get to Amazon, and then it's business as usual on Amazon. You can visit my store, or if you'd like, you can go ahead and shop anywhere on Amazon, and it provides actually a credit to the channel. It's kind of a cool program when you think about it. So, and if you'd like to pick up some swag, some channel swag, be sure to visit my my Teespring store, where you can pick up t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, and things like that. And all of that supports the channel. So, okay, that's enough paying of the bills. let's go ahead and do the official start that you're very, very familiar with for the channel. All right, we are now underway officially. All right, so M&C Aquatics in the house. Lost a big angel of 5 years yesterday. Oh boy. Yeah, you hate that, you know? You just hate that. And Jeremy, you know, I don't know how old that betta was, because when you pick him up, you don't know. I mean, he was a good size when I got him, and he was in a cup at a big box store. And so I don't know how old he was when I got him. But at any rate, he was a good fish. Very fearless, very interactive, always calling me out, always challenging me. Now the question becomes, now that he's gone and I'm taking a good look at his tank, and here I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean, and I'll walk you through. All right. So this is his tank here, and you can see his little betta log has been taken over by a snail, a pagoda snail, and a pleco. So this tank actually would be a very cool live bear tank when you think about it. All of that hornwort for fish to hide in would be almost ideal for live bears. So I was thinking maybe bringing the live bears over to this tank, and then what would I do with that 20-gallon rimless? Maybe use it as a hospital tank, a quarantine tank. I'm not really sure, but bringing over this little gaggle of live bears and putting them in there is an option that I'm considering. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think that would be a nice live bear tank? Certainly with that thick hornwort, it just gives the fry an opportunity to be able to stay off the radar of the bigger fish. The other thing I was thinking of was picking up, I've got 4 of these beautiful blue neon rainbows. They're dwarf rainbows. They stay very, very small. And I was thinking maybe I'll pick up 3 or 4 more of the dwarf rainbows and put them in that 29-gallon and have them be like a centerpiece fish in that aquarium. The Congos are a couple of weeks away from going into the 90-gallon. The Congos that I got from Josh Cunningham at Cunningham Tropicals. You can see they're just beautiful. But maybe put those dwarf neons. Maybe put them in the in that 29-gallon. Then maybe add a couple other like dwarf red dwarf rainbows. A couple other kinds of very small types of fish. Maybe turn it into a type of nano aquarium. The Congos will probably go in here, and then ultimately I'll have to decide what direction am I going to empty this tank out and turn it into exclusively a discus tank, which I think it would make a beautiful discus tank. It already has the UV, and of course I would load it up with real plants. But again, it's just sort of a work in progress. Now, I have this space right here, this area right here, between the 29-gallon, what was the betta tank, and the 29-gallon Congo Tetra, and I might just end up putting this 60-gallon acrylic. See the 60-gallon acrylic right here? This was supposed to be a sump for the 300-gallon. But we couldn't get it in the doors. We couldn't get it into the doors. It was just too big to get into the doors of the 300-gallon. So, and I didn't want to really cut the side of that aquarium. I mean, we tried 25 different ways to get it under this tank at different angles, and we just couldn't. So That's why there's a 40-gallon breeder as the sump for this aquarium. It's working fine. You can see the aquarium is in really good shape. But I really didn't want to have to cut out the side, which is what I was about to do. I already had it marked off with a pencil, and I was going to go ahead and cut the side out and slide the aquarium in there, which probably would have been okay, since it's the sort of the vertical beams that provide the real support. But I don't know. I just didn't want to compromise the stand with this much weight. So another project, by the way, just to let you know, another project I have underway is I am changing out the sump in this aquarium. Currently, it's a 29-gallon, and I'm going to be swapping that out for a 40-gallon breeder. The fish in this tank have just gotten much larger, and I just want more water. I just want more water circulating to accommodate the larger size of fish, especially if I bring over some of the fish from the other tank, from the 90-gallon. So what do you think about those ideas? Let me know, because I listen to your input. Your input's important to me. I'm getting great tips, by the way, from a lot of you about discus, about what to do with the discus, how to set up the discus, temperatures, everything from temperature and tank mates on discus. So that's coming in real handy. Now, so share your thoughts in the chat. Share your thoughts under the video if you're watching the replay, because I do want to know what your thoughts are about what I should do with that 29-gallon and how that fits into the rest of the strategy here in the fish room. I have one more video for you that I put together this morning. It's a video that's important. It's important to me. It's actually important to my wife and me, because it's in a topic that's very near and dear to both of us. And so I'm going to go ahead and premiere that video with you folks here on the live stream. It's nowhere on YouTube yet. It'll probably be on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. Nobody has seen it, but you folks will get a chance to see it, and I can get your feedback to it. So Stephanie says that bettas live 2 to 5 years. Boy, I'd love to get one that goes that long. And for whatever reasons, I have not had one last that long. And it may be, I am, except for one, I usually pick them up just out of a cup, at a big box store. Even though I did get a real nice one time from the Aquatic Critter. I did get a real nice one from John and Lisa. Probably my most beautiful betta ever. But at any rate, so let's see what some of your initial comments are here. Hagen Hill Design. I have heard from many folks that that rams are a real good tank mate for discus. And one of the tips one of you gave me was that just make sure that if you have a group of fish, just be sure that the biggest group is the discus group, because they just have to be the dominant. They have to be the dominant. They have to be the biggest gang in the aquarium. Have to be the discus. But yeah, 3 or 4 rams in there, half a dozen rummy nose, and maybe 8 or 9 discus would be a beautiful tank. Maybe 5 or 6, harlequins. So some rasboras, right? Maybe some neons, things like that. But yeah, you have to get fish that do prefer warmer water, because they are a fish that likes it in the 80s. They prefer in the 80s. So again, an aquarium where you might want to have 2 heaters in case there is some type of a failure. Another heater will keep it warm enough until you spot that there's a failure. So a lot of things to consider. I'm in no hurry. These are 2024 goals, so I don't have to have it all done in January. So I can just roll it out patiently. So let's take a look at some more of your comments, and then I'll go ahead and premiere that second video that I just mentioned. Let me stroll back a little bit into the comments. There you are. 5 minutes of fame. Eric, cheers to you, Eric. And thank you for that. And that double cup of coffee. Michael Welsh, late again. You know, you guys can arrive late. It's okay. You don't have to apologize. You don't need a note. Jeremy, split mini systems are on the short list. Thank you, Cat Sailor. I think it is genetics. I don't smoke. I don't drink that much. Probably has something to do with it. I do. My wife takes good care of me. I do eat well. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. You guys are being very flattering today. I'm cruising the chat here. You're getting into a big discussion on heating, and I'm going to go ahead and review all of those comments at some point. I get a lot of education on heating and cooling of my fish room from you. Pistogramma would be cool in the 29. Do you think, Andy? Do you think the 29 pistos were on the short list? Do you think the 29 would be okay for pistos? Because boy, oh boy, there are some pretty ones out there, and I'm not really like a small fish guy, but those are special fish. Those are pretty amazing guys. So that is on the short list. And do you really think a 29 would be good for them for their whole life? That would be kind of cool, I think. Cardinals would be cool. Yeah, cardinals, I think, also are tolerant of higher temperatures. R. Baglio in the house. Hello, R. Baglio. So Atkins Nature says that the 29 would be fine for a pistos. That's good to know. Because that aquarium, I think now with the recent addition of that the glued-on Java fern, I think that tank looks pretty put together. It looks about as good as it's going to look. It's got 3 coolie loaches hiding under inside of a cave. It's got a lot of pleco activity in there. It's got some beautiful pagoda snails. So it's I think it's a very healthy tank. It's a very mature, seasoned tank, as Corey likes to call them. So yeah, okay. So I'm hearing some votes for a pistos. Yep, those are beautiful fish. A lot of variety, a lot of choices to a lot of different colors. Fat Fish Designs in the house. Dustin Robley in house. Z-Zip. Salient in the house. Hey, GP. Good to see you there, buddy. Cichlid Kings in the house. Good to see you. Part of my wonderful moderator crew. This tank behind me here, I did you saw that video. I did a little bit of a surface cleaning. I'm going to have to do a water change. I don't have to vacuum this tank. Maybe I can show you a little bit of a close-up on it. You can see over my shoulder there that this type of a substrate, this substrate right here, Let me line it up here. There we go. That substrate doesn't really require any vacuuming whatsoever. The motion, the water movement will suspend detritus, and that detritus, that together with the constant sifting of the cichlids, right, especially after feeding. So the substrate always looks good, and it gets taken up by both the sump overflow and also the fluval intake, right? So that tank, what it needs right now is just a water change. I'll probably give it like a maybe 30-40% water change. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it's over 100 gallons. It's like 100 gallons of water. So it's a good chunk of water. So 30%. And then maybe 10%. Well, no, that would be 100. Yeah, about 30. It's a 300 gallon tank, right? About 33%. So would give me about 100 gallons. So I'll probably do a water change there. I did a little scrubbing of the plants. So the plants look pretty good. I also created a little bit of a feature here. I'll show it to you. Let me just go back to. There's a little stone feature right here. See it there? I like to give the fish. I like to give the fish things to swim, into and between, and I just think it's just fun watching fish, like watching a fish go into a cave, come out of a cave. I just think it's kind of cool to be able to see that kind of stuff, and it gives the fish a little bit of a different environment to play around in. So I always like to do that. The 210 needs a water change, but its water change is going to have to include some vacuuming, only because of that pebble river rock that I have in the 210. And looks like the pleco is out right now running around, but the 210, I mean, the tanks, you would look at them and you go, wait a minute, these tanks look pretty clean. Here, I'll show you. One of the comments I got on one of my last videos was, he's doing maintenance on his tanks, and his tanks look cleaner than my tanks, but it's you give them, you freshen up the water, you give them some more minerals, right? One of the theories is that you reduce some of the hormone levels in the aquarium, things like that. So you can see a little better now. So yeah, that aquarium will get a water change, maybe a 20-30% water change. Both of the big tanks have had top offs on the sumps. The sumps were evaporating quite a bit with the heat I was running into the room from the floor heater unit and pumping in some hot air from the house. But that tank's, you can see it's in pretty good shape. And you can see the fish get along pretty well. I mean, the only time I get a face off, I mean, the Jack Dempsey and the green tear occasionally get into it with the firemouth. The firemouth is always sort of hanging around and protecting those two stacked rocks in the middle of the aquarium. So maybe at some point I'll just tear down those two stacked rocks and move them somewhere else, just so that there's less to protect or fight over. But the firemouth has kind of claimed that center island. So when people come around, whether it's the Nicaragua, the Jack Dempsey, or the green tear, he gets into it with them. But it never turns into anything too violent. they look at each other. They threaten to lip lock each other. Then they back off. They don't really get into much. I see somebody's commenting about turning one of the tanks into a shell dweller. I like shellies, but they've never really been on my short list. I would probably get a pistos before I would get shell dwellers. All right, let me get the lighting back. Hold on. We're back. All right. Well, I promised you a video, kind of a special video, and I was debating whether to show you a couple minutes of it as a teaser. And I said, nah, my Saturday crew is the best. I'm going to go ahead and just play it all for them and then just go ahead and get your take on it. I think this is the final cut on it. We'll see. We'll see. I'll watch it with you. Sometimes when I watch something after having edited it, I might spot something that I'll want to change. But I'll watch it with you. But I suspect this is going to be the final cut on it. So let's go ahead and the name of the video is, I'm bouncing names around, but I think for now the working title is the top 10 reasons kids need to keep fish and aquariums more than ever. So that gives you a little bit of an idea where we're going. But let me go ahead and play it for you. You tell me what you think in the comments. Let's roll. I've got to give credit in this video to my wife. My wife's been, you can see her here, and she's extremely smart and very, very pretty, as you can see. She's been a tutor for many, many years. She's been working with kids, all types of kids, fast learners, slow learners, troubled kids, kids with learning disabilities, all types really. And she's developed quite a reputation. She knows really how to work with all types of children. And we started talking about fish keeping. I told her that I thought that fish keeping was needed more than ever with kids. And I had some ideas why that was. And I wanted to go over them with her. And we started bouncing ideas back and forth. Why? Why would fish keeping be so valuable to children now more than ever? More than ever before, fish keeping is of importance and should be part of kids' lives. We came up with a list, and I want to go ahead and share that list with you because I think it's pretty cool. And the first thing that we came up with was children being able to experience the joy of creating something from nothing. So, you go with your parents, you go to the pet store, you pick up a small glass box, you pick up some substrate, you pick up maybe some water conditioner, a heater, a small sponge filter, a pump. Bit by bit, you put together this living cube that is now supporting snails and maybe a goldfish or whatever that, maybe a glowfish, whatever that first fish might be, is now supporting this. And it actually came about from idea to actual creation. And that's just something that a lot of kids don't really experience these days in a sort of a push button TikTok kind of world, right? The other thing that came up was imagination. She runs into so many kids that are just completely and utterly bored if something isn't being fed to them, like a story or something, a video or something isn't being fed to them. They don't really have the ability to sit down and, for example, read a book and actually in their own mind create the scenes. They become very bored and they don't want to, they don't hang in there. So this imagination, okay, how do you want to decorate the tank? Do you want to have some wood? Do you want the wood stacked? Do you want to have plants? How do you want those plants? What kind of fish do you want to keep in there? Should we paint the back of it? And having the kid actually come up with these things, come up with like a canvas to their painting, right? Imagination, so vital and so missing in so many aspects today of what is being done by children, because everything is just sort of prepackaged and fed to them like a video or some type of electronic game, right? Also the idea of effort, work done in a sequence of steps resulting in an outcome. The other thing is an outcome based on actions, right? So sequential thinking that is in order, that makes sense, right? You put the water, you put the conditioner, you heat the water, you bring about beneficial bacteria, you add the fish, sequence, and things done in a certain order, and how each step results in an outcome. So how actions actually result in some sort of consequence or outcome. And that's outcomes is something that is not necessarily thought of that much, you know. And another thing my wife brought up was empathy, having the empathy for another living thing, putting something in that glass box, caring for it, perhaps watching it get sick, perhaps watching it die, and then sticking to it. So empathy for a living thing and a stick-to-itiveness, so that after, let's say you make a mistake, you learn from the mistake, and then you continue in the hobby, as opposed to I give up, my goldfish died, I give up. No, what did we do wrong? Let's learn about it, and then let's stick to it and continue in the hobby. That's a very, very important lesson, and that these are all lessons that'll go forward in life, right? Thinking in terms of actions and consequences, thinking in terms of outcomes that were not positive, but then learning occurs, and then a positive outcome occurs. So all these like really vital lessons. There's some things that are obvious too. Math, chemistry, right? Whether you're measuring a teaspoon or you're trying to figure out the weight of a certain number of gallons, or the capacity of a certain tank based on the dimensions of the tank. These all require like thinking and math and how much conditioner to add, how much in meds do we add. All these are like chemical things that have to be understood. And so this is all really vital, and again, lessons that will be taken on into life. The creating of a bond between the parent and the child, that's really important. And in today's families, very often it's, you know, you've got two parents working, a kid is at school, it's all very just, it's just the absolute minimum of communication. You know, get your homework done, get ready for bed, come down, eat dinner. And so you get more communication going about different things. This is very, very important. Patience. My wife said, oh boy, kids lack patience. She has trouble with kids having patience. And even in tutoring, they lose their patience. And so having patience, fish keeping involves a tremendous amount of patience, whether you're growing out fish, whether you're raising raising some fry, or the aquarium is getting ready to add fish. All these things are issues that deal with patience, so that's really important. So patience was an important one, and attention span. She found that a lot of the kids she works with these days have very, very short attention spans, and maybe this is the TikTok brain chemistry, but they just have a real short attention span, and that doesn't really work with keeping fish, because part of the joy of the whole hobby is then sitting down and watching your fish. And so having your attention on these incredible, on these incredible creatures is all part of the process, and that speaks to attention span, having an attention span, which a lot of the kids are just simply not demonstrating that much. So attention span, persistence along a course of action that may be met with obstacles, and then overcoming those obstacles to achieve the desired outcome. So valuable, right? And again, something that can be learned by keeping aquariums. Probably the last one on the list would have to be the pride of accomplishment. Having that sense of pride, that high morale, that great feeling of, look what I did with my hands, look what I created, look what I brought about from bags of substrate and nothing, a glass box and some bags of substrate. Look at what we have. And the sort of pride that's important. That's important. Even if the kids 4, 5, 6, some sense of accomplishment that they feel really good about, and is so important in today's world where it's just sort of lost, right? So, at any rate, what do you think? What do you think is the role of this hobby, or what role do you think this hobby could play with today's children, the direction that you see today's children going in, what you see demonstrated in today's children? How could this hobby actually help to enhance their life? I'd be curious to hear what you have to say, and maybe what you've observed as a parent in interacting with your children with regards to this hobby. I'd be curious in the comments below. All right, so there you have it. Those are my reasons why I think fish keeping is more valuable than ever for children and for parents and children to participate in together. And if you enjoyed that, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you on Saturday for the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. That's every Saturday from 11 a.m. till about noon. That's Central Time. That's noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central. And if you'd like to support this channel, consider becoming a Patreon. That's a monthly supporter. Starts for as little as $3 a month. So there you go. Hope you like that. It is a topic that is very near and dear to my wife and I, her being a very long-term teacher, and me being us being the parents of 4 kids, and now about to go into our second grandchild, and just watching what's happening out there with children, her running into it on a day-to-day basis, very different from the kids she was running into 20 years ago. Very different way of thinking, different ways of acting. Some things are good, some things are very much not good. And so I honestly do think more than ever we need to get kids, if not into fish keeping, something that is going to bring to the table some of the attributes or characteristics that I talked about in that video. So that video will be out tonight. Share it with all your friends and family and anyone who has kids, anyone who you've been trying to get into fish keeping, and maybe it'll make a positive impact out there, and somebody whose glowfish dies will be encouraged by their parents to hang in there, learn, and persist with the hobby. We certainly as adults have had to do that, right? Who on this chat hasn't had a setback that for a lot of people would have knocked them off the horse, but you stayed on the horse. You went ahead, you cleaned up the tank, you buried the fish, you did what you had to do, and you said to yourself, okay, I need to look at some more videos, I need to do some more research, I need to ask some questions. And then you got back on the horse. And I'll tell you, there's a lot to be said for that stick-to-itiveness, because that translates right over into our real life, right? from something as simple as a job that gives us a serious deadline that we have to overcome, or maybe in a personal relationship where you run into your first big upset with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and what do? Do I abandon ship? Do I cut and run, or do I sit down and go, okay, all right, maybe I was being a bit of a jerk, and what's my takeaway? Hard to do, very hard to do. All right, so let's see what you have to say in the comments, and we'll go from there. Let me just go right up over here into the chat. Back to the chat. Clueless to nitrogen, ammonia. Well, now I'm like an expert. Harsh truth. We it's funny how all of us arrived at the area of, at the amount of knowledge that we currently have with fish keeping. And being completely honest, a lot of this was for me, but for a lot of the learning and expertise that was acquired was in the wake of a disaster, right? Okay, what just happened? What happened? And learning about oxygen, learning about the nitrogen cycle, learning about, killing off beneficial bacteria and creating an ammonia spike, learning about tank mates, about temperature and temperature matching, and treating the water. I mean, everything. A lot of that learning occurred after a setback, and we get advice, and we take that advice, and we run with it. But you don't really learn as much as when you see the outcome of maybe not following that advice. It's like, for those of you who have kids and now they have kids, they're starting to realize what you were talking about. They realize how wise you were. So let's see here. Michael, I learned through failure. Yeah, I think we all have in this hobby. I think one of the things that fish stores need to tell people when they first buy that first aquarium is, now you're going to have some die off. So maybe start off with less expensive fish, and don't buy those 5-inch $70 colored up male cichlids right off the bat. Start with some less expensive fish, work your way up into it, because you without question are going to have probably some die off. And when that die off occurs, please come back. We'll help you. We'll answer some questions. We'll refer you to some YouTube resources. And instead, I think, okay, here's your aquarium. Here's your filter. Here's your water conditioner, your gravel. Good luck, And the adventure begins. And, fast forward 6 months, there's an aquarium set up on Craigslist for sale. And, best offer, just haul it away. So, all right. Stephanie McCormick says, we learned the hard way on temperature matching when we did water changes and lost 2 angels to temperature shock. Yep. And some people just take that. They don't really pay attention to that. They don't think it's that important. I think it is, especially in the winter when the cold water is so cold. And if you're not temperature matching, you could actually shock your fish, just like you going out in a t-shirt in 5 degrees. I mean, you run outside. Okay, let me just run out and get the mail. How bad can it be? I mean, by the time you get back to your front door, you're shivering, Well, these fish don't necessarily shiver. They just go into shock and go belly up. So, Hagen Hill Design. Got to go, Ben. Lunch break. Okay. See you, buddy. I am looking at your comments. Atkins says Atkins Nature Aquariums. Hagen, my partner, and I enjoy the hobby together. Wouldn't be the same without her. You know, sometimes I kind of wish my wife was more involved in what I do, but it's she's not. She's not interested. She comes down and looks at them with me when I have a special fish that I want to share with her, and she's 100% supportive of what I do. So I guess that has a lot of value. But she herself is not a fish keeper. And I've seen more fish keepers out there start to bring in their spouse, like Lisa over at KG, and is it Janine over with Jason over at Primetime. I think I saw Bob had his wife in a live stream the other night. Steamport, and so these folks are getting their spouses involved more. I think it's kind of cool. Michael Hainwich, yeah, those are all vital points. Science, chemistry, life and death, responsibility. It goes on and on. Yeah, man. I think persistence, stick-to-itiveness, overcoming obstacles. Not giving up, and it's like learning from losses. I mean, that's just so important as opposed to folding up and kind of blowing away. Because boy, oh boy, I mean, just in living, how many walls do we bump into in life? I mean, so many. I look back on playing football in high school and how much that taught me about dealing with pain, discomfort, lightheadedness, the desire to throw up, the ability, being so sore you can't get out of bed, and then getting out of bed anyway and showing up for practice. I mean, those are extreme lessons, but my oh my, have they come in handy. So Jeremy Moore, Ben Ochart, sucks that I had to bring my red devil female to a local fish store. She was so aggressive when she laid eggs, and even after I scraped off the eggs, she would attack two of my fish. She had to go. Well, I think you might have just saved yourself a lot of grief. If you look at my aggression playlist, and I always tell people when they go into playlists, always go to the most recent videos because that's where you'll have the most current information. And for me, aggression, the final solution on aggression is rehoming the fish. Everything else really has never really worked that effectively. So yeah, I get it. Pat Dennis, Ben, can I ask what is the name of the fish that has the body of a Malawi eye biter with the long fins with the slight orange tint? Now, Pat, are we talking about the 210, or are you talking about the 300 behind me? I'm not really sure. The body of a Malawi eye biter, the long fins with a slight orange tint. You talk about the trout, Malawi trout? Yeah, I don't know. Could be the trout. Maybe you're talking about the trout, Malawi trout. Yeah, aggression is one of the reasons why I've been so reluctant to bring over that, that beautiful red tear and put him in the 210. The 210 has got a certain vibe to it right now. Everybody kind of has their place and they drift around and they don't really, so am I willing to put this random X factor in there? And then I saw a video by Darius where he was talking about how he had this fish that was killing fish in the night, and it turned out to be his red tear. And so it gave me. Let me use the close up for this. It gave me pause. You got to have the close up on it. Gave me pause. So it made me think. I don't know. Do I want to go through that? I don't think so. So at any rate, let's see here. So in the 300, yeah, okay. So it might have been one of those fish I pointed out. Yeah, there's the long and flowing fins in that aquarium are probably the Malawi trout. M&C says leave the red tear where he is. He's a good-looking guy. That's a good-looking fish, that big red tear. And I mean, it's true that some fish have different temperaments, and it's also true that sometimes fish will change. I once had a crazy Venusus that mellowed out and became a great tank boss. I had a crazy eye biter that back in California that ended up calming down and becoming a good fish. Ended up selling them when I left California. So some fish will change, but it's a crapshoot, and they can also change for the worse. You can have a tank that looks really good. You know, you go away for a day, you come back the next mid morning, and two of the fish are dead, and you don't know what happened. So they have that little cichlid switch in their brain that I talk about, that at any moment can flick, and away we go. We're off to the races. All right. So give me some questions. Any questions that you'd like to ask? Any comments about the two topics that we've gone over today? Both the what to do with the 29-gallon betta tank, the betta penthouse. Do I put another bed in there? Do I turn it into something different? And also your thoughts about the more than ever kids in aquariums. And let me hear your comments. We'll go ahead and take up a few more here. Thank you, James Green. That is true. I say it many times. I have the best moderators on YouTube. Yeah, we'll see. You know, it's a work in progress with regards to the fish room. You know what my objectives are. At some point, I'm going to want to free up that 55-gallon. The truth is that if I end up working with Josh on some bigger cichlids, and I get him in, even though Josh is as trusted as a fish provider can be, in my mind, I still would quarantine for 30 days. And you can't quarantine, 5-inch fish, anywhere from 5 to 7-inch fish in a 29-gallon. It's just too stressful. So I'm going to need to free up that 55-gallon and turn that into a quarantine tank for a wave of African cichlids that I hope to get from in working something out with Josh over at Cunningham Tropical. So I'm gonna have to free that tank up. So where does the red tear go? I also have that 60-gallon acrylic that I might put over here on the right. Could that 60-gallon acrylic become a red tear breeding tank? So a lot of things. How does that all fit into the mechanics of turning the 90 into a discus tank? So a lot of moving parts. So my advice is keep giving me advice, keep giving me tips. It all goes into the hopper. It all goes into the cauldron and stews and brews. And as 2024 moves along, it'll all start to take shape. And it's just going to be really exciting because all the outcomes are going to be beautiful. They're going to be fun. And I can't wait. I guess my one last question for you is would apistos and rainbows, dwarf rainbows, be compatible? Do you think small apistos, and small dwarf rainbows, like my neon blues, if I were to put that into that heavily planted 29-gallon, how do you think that would work? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'd be curious about that. And that being said, I'm watching the Salvini go through a round opening in the driftwood, and it's just absolutely awesome. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you folks get on with your weekend. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm 40, even though I'm almost 70. And I will see all of you this next Saturday. Watch for the new video coming out. And also a big shout out and thank you to my wonderful moderators for keeping the stream going. And thank you to anyone who super chatted. If I missed your super chat, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the chat that much. I was looking at you. All right, my friends, that's it for now. Thank you so much. And I will see you folks next Saturday at the same time. Bye-bye.